So let's go back to industrial world.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? What are you doing with your life that makes you go, man, I want to go be a software entrepreneur?
I'd say, I always enjoyed building things, right? My dad, he was an engineer. He's an engineer, and he basically managed some of the water treatment plants and purification plants, etc. So I grew up, watching some of the heavy industries.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in India.
Okay.
Yeah, and so back when I was growing up, I always enjoy that engineering side, just tinkering and breaking things and putting things. And I think there is always something special about building something from scratch, right? Or making something and something that can help others and makes an impact. Um, and I think, that was always something that stayed. I mean, I did projects where I worked on cars, I basically did projects at home. And I think that's also something that's great about US is essentially, there is that culture of building things and doing things from scratch. So and that's what I would say, always drove me to start a company, right? And then, I was always looking at ideas or what is a problem that I'm passionate about that I want to really dig in, because it's a journey that you have to be passionate about. And before Uptime AI, I was working at I spent about more than 20 years working in the industrial analytics or industrial application space, specifically about applying analytics to industrial problems. First 10 years doing pure analytics for all the way from automotive, aerospace, to pharma, then oil and gas companies. Next, about 8 years, I worked at GE, managing some of their product lines and focusing on AI and deep learning based solutions for oil and gas. So I saw how challenging it is to manage operations in a plant. It's a very complex environment. There is safety aspects, significant safety aspects involved, right? It's a harsh environment. And it's also very hard for people to just understand, people who haven't been to those kind of, a refinery or a chemical plant, to understand what it is like there, right? And I worked a lot with senior experts as well who have lots and lots of stories. I mean, we have a chief subject matter expert in our company, right, who has over 40 years of experience, in the industry, advised over 150 different plants across the globe. And so I've heard all these stories, right, and about the difficulties, the challenges, how they solve the problems, and that problem and my interest in building something really connected together. And so right after GE, that's when I decided that, okay, this is a problem that's worth solving and making an impact on the entire manufacturing industry. And that's how, I jumped into it.
Because what you just described is way more articulate way of what we try to do around here at Digital Wildcatters. Is we're a little more folksy about it. It's like the great crew change is happening.
Yeah.
And all this vast information about even something as simple as drilling a conventional vertical hole.
Yeah.
When that guy dies, it's gone, right?
Exactly.
Being able to knowledge capture and then transfer to other folks is so important.
Absolutely.
And it feels like in the energy business we're 15 years behind the rest of the world.
Oh yeah,
in terms of doing it.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that the crew, the old crew, right? I mean, there are different terms like the gray hair and silver tsunami, right? And the thing that really stuck in my head, is this is a probably this is what motivated, what was the crucial point for starting Uptime AI, I would say is, I was actually in an airport flying back from London to the States. And we just finished a workshop with, one of the oil and gas companies in London. And I was flying back with one of our SMEs, right? And we're sitting in the airport, and our SME gets a call, and he tells me, Jag, I can't fly back to the States. I got to fly to Malaysia. The client is having a problem in one of the plants, and they're asking me to fly in immediately. And I know the client, in Malaysia, and I looked at the SME, and I told him, look, I know they have all the digital tools, right? In the market, they have best in the breed, solutions, digital tools,
Sensor on everything.
sensors, etc. Right? Why do they need you, right? And why so urgently? And he looked at me and he smiled and said, Jag, your tools tell him that there is a problem. I'm the one going there to tell them why it's happening, what's causing it, how to fix it. And even better, I'm going to do it even faster the next time another client calls me. So I'm much smarter than anything that you have, right? and that was a lightning bulb moment, right? Or light bulb moment, right?
Right.
And that kind of stuck with me. And after I left GE, or Baker Hughes GE, then I was thinking about different ideas, and this was one thing that really stuck in terms of how the industry, right? It has a lot of thermometers and blood pressure machines. They kind of give you indications of where problems are, which is great. I mean, there's value there, right? But in order to take and leapfrog to the next level of efficiency, right, we have to put that expert into a computer and make it available for every young engineer who's trying to, run these plants. And that was essentially the goal for starting UptimeAI.